So for today's lesson, we're going to be talking about a little bit more with experiments and what does it look like when we have an experiment versus an observational study. So for number 16, this one will be not an observational study. It will be an experiment because experiments have something randomly assigned to or imposed on the experimental units that we are. So this is an experiment because students were randomly assigned to the different treatments of teacher methods. For part B, we're asking what conclusions can be drawn. So for this group of students, one method was better in preparing students. We can discuss causation because this was an experiment. If it was not an experiment, then we could not do cause and effect because there could be confounding variables, and even in an experiment there could be, but in this case, the way this was designed, we are looking at that experiment. For number 17, we're looking at binge drinking and amount of GPA that a student has. It's an observational study. And in this case, it says to identify a lurking variable that may be confounded with the effects of binge drinking, which makes it a confounding variable, and explain how that confounding might occur. So level of academic motivation definitely is an issue. Some students with low academic motivation will spend less time studying, therefore leaving time to binge drink. We have no way to know that lower GPA is caused by binge drinking or by low motivation, but in this case we've got that lurking variable that confounds the situation. For number 18, we're looking at the value of the experimental units, explanatory variable, response, and then the treatments that we have. When we read through this question, I'll let you do that. We are looking at the experimental units are the 300 people who have never used Skype before. The explanatory variable is whether the ads are present in the Skype calls. The response variable is the frequency and the length of the phone calls on Skype. The treatments that we used in this experiment were to add ads to some phone calls and to have ads not in other phone calls. There are a few typos on here, so please disregard those. And then on part B, we are looking at middle schools. Those are our experimental units. The explanatory variable is whether a student has a physical activity program or a nutrition program that are offered. The response variable then is measured the amount of physical activity and the lunchtime consumption of fat. The treatments that could be assigned to the students in the middle school are as follows. We could do activity assigned only, nutrition assigned only, both activity and nutrition, and then we would have our control group where they have neither activity nor nutrition assigned. And then in the last example of part C, this one is about students and heart rates and using metronomes and steps, and the experimental units are the 30 students. The explanatory variables are the step height and the metronome pace. They're going to step up and step down to the beat of the metronome, and at the end we will measure their response rate of increase in their heart rate. There are several treatments this time because we're going to have step heights of 5.75 inches and then different metronome speeds. So we'll have 5.75 inches with 14 steps per minute, 5.75 inches and 21 steps per minute, 5.75 inches and 28 steps per minute, and then we'll also have the 11.5 inches with the 14, 21, and 28 steps per minute. And I'm going to go ahead and correct this one here, and this will be the end of your lesson. We will continue practicing these things tomorrow.